Well, yes. It's been a few days, I know. Last video did pretty well for my first DC video on this channel. Before I get into explaining what this series will be about, I want to first quickly touch on the subject of my last video. I didn't mention that I had a water toon in that video. However, recently I decided to try out water and oh my gosh. I regret a lot of what I said. I only really tried it out for a bit, but it made me change my mind immediately. If this is what we have to look forward to for other revamps, I am 100% down. DCUO devs, you may do a lot of things that I don't agree with. But this water revamp is one of those rare W's that you have somehow managed to capture. Not only does it feel good, but it hits like a truck and actually has a proper damage rotation now. Keep it up. I still get annoyed by water players in raids and alerts, but it also makes me impatient to see what other revamps or new power sets they are going to add. Hurry up. Anyway, with that out the way, you may be asking yourself, what is this series going to be about exactly? I won't say this every video since it won't be necessary. But it is basically a set of guides disguised as a challenge video while having fun along the way. The whole point is to share ways with other players who want to do things legit in game without spending real money how to do it. And to showcase exactly how far you can get completely as a free-to-play, even with something that's considered off-meta. But personally, I enjoy the challenge of being resourceful and using all knowledge that's available to me in order to get through the end game totally legit. Also in this challenge, I'm not allowed to use anything from any other characters. I can only use what I farm on this toon. With that out the way, it's finally time to start the video. Well, this is him. A robot that will command an entire army of pets to kill stuff for him. Of course it won't be entirely like that since we will be casting a lot ourselves. Especially early on with no artifacts. Leveling is too slow and boring. Let's hit level 30 now.
Cracked Scarecrow's lair, done well. I'm prepared.
Giganta kidnapped Wonder Girl.
Gotham will throw at you next.
Just don't.
Now, OBJ1.
Brainiac ship achieved the power for good. The Justice League wants to.
Congratulations. This isn't an easy fight, but
You're a full-fledged member of the Justice League. Congratulations.
That was easy. By the way, before you hit level 16 and get your Fury pet, you can grab the robot sidekick at level 10 and it will be much better than the bad early game Guardian. Make sure to respect and get your extra point back after unlocking Fury. Also, I chose Sorcery for no reason in particular besides that I haven't seen it talked about for a while in the community and also wanted to play a pet build so evens out. Anyway, time to get into endgame. Now let me explain exactly what the plan is for endgame. First of all, for this build to make sense, let me tell you about how pets work. Some powers come with them like sorcery and they are meant to be your main source of damage. But for the most part, you are just going to use Robot Sidekick or the turret on gadgets or maybe even the Snow Devil just to squeeze out an extra bit of damage with your extra power you don't need. Could also be for cancels or just in general for different things and purposes. It just depends on what you need. What we want is for our pets to do the brunt of our damage and not our powers. By the way, they don't scale with any stats except for CR as far as I'm aware, so stacking might or precision won't be necessary except for another component I will talk about. Now, pet powers are pretty neglected these days, but they genuinely can get out of hand if built properly, and you will see that throughout this playthrough. So, what are the things we need? Most importantly is Source Shard. A forgotten but strong artifact for pet builds that will boost pet damage by a ridiculous amount. It's like on-demand crits for your strongest pet, which on sorcery will be your Fury. Next we want Mercium Azatron Protocol and Grimorium Verum. Mercy gives extra damage, extra sustain for pets, extra bubbles for pets and tankiness for you, but most importantly it allows your trinket pet to stay out almost 100% of the time all the time while still giving you those constant big bursts of damage from summoning. Oh, also, we want to build might on this character to help those mercy explosions. We are going to need every bit of damage we can squeeze out of the build if it's going to take on elite content. For Grimorium Verum, we pick this up to help with damage but also to apply our sorcery power interaction to enemies passively without needing to do it ourselves. It allows us to be more flexible with our power loadout, which is something we will need in Super Endgame to maximize our damage with Fury and be optimal in order to push elite content. For the final 2 slots, one can be Xlit and the other a flex spot. Depending on if I will get Xlit or any of these artifacts to 200 is a serious grind, but it definitely changes a lot of what I would do. If you do end up bringing Xlit to 200, I would recommend putting Scrap into the 5th artifact slot for faster passive supercharge generation, which means more damage for you and more damage from Xlit. Overall it will be a pretty underwhelming pet for this series as far as I know anyway, although we haven't got there yet. It could surprise me. Who knows? As for what should go in the 5th slot, it will just depend on what you want to use. You could go Eye of Gemini to be a better teammate in raids. Or one of these, which will also help. Like I said, it depends entirely on your preference. I will let you all know what I settled on once I get there. Anyway, with artifacts out of the way, I will briefly mention allies. Now, one mandatory ally for this build is going to be Zatanna. This is mainly because she restores power to your pet, which is a rare niche in the game but 100% necessary in this situation, since Mercy will replace our offering with a better and stronger one. This also means you can just clip 6 different abilities that do damage and still get the power boost. I don't think the attack needs to connect with enemies, I think you just have to do them, but we will see. For the main ally will be Crypto, of course, for extra damage. And for the last passive ability, it's up to you. Since we're buffing pets so much, I recommend grabbing someone like Mr. Freeze, who gives you an extra pet for free to deal damage. But you could also grab Aquaman for the extra pet damage, or Oracle/Cyborg for extra power generation if you struggle with that. After all, having an ability pet summoned does decrease your power generation by a lot, and it isn't something that's fixed until you max out Grimorium Verum, which is very difficult to do free to play. Anyway, back to what I was doing. So the goal after hitting endgame was to try to get my first artifact to 80 and get Zatanna. I was going to focus the source shard for this, since the damage boost it gives is simply too good to pass up. There are multiple methods as free to play to get the resources you need for artifacts completely for free without spending a dime. I will go over these methods more in a later video, but there was some grinding involved, just not a lot. Anyway, this is how the build performs so far. Sit back, relax, let your pet do most of the work. Anyway, this week was double source mark week. And on reset day I managed to get a bounty train right before the servers shut down for GU 170, which was awesome. If you didn't know, these help a lot when starting off on a new toon even without double source marks. I will explain this in another video. Ended up with 500 something marks. Not bad. Now let's buy Zatanna and Krypton first instead of rushing max CR. CR can wait, since I can still make money relatively easily without it. We will need money a lot later on though, so it will eventually be a priority. After the bounty train I managed to make it to tier 1 and a little bit to tier 2. I will keep farming omnibus raids for marks and gear after double source mark week to make it to tier 3 without paying with source marks yet. Anyway, let's try to end this video off on a high note and get one artifact to level 80. I managed to get some extra NTH metal farming before shutdown. This is all the NTH metal I've been able to get in 3 days of play so far, with extra from Constantine. Nice, this will help a lot. This too. And buy catalysts from the broker instead of paying source marks. We need those for Zatanna. Well, unfortunately we didn't end up at 80, but still pretty close. Getting the last XP needed is pretty manageable since it's just 2 more levels. Anyways, stay tuned for the next part since I will continue this series. While I grind, there will be some other videos posted until the next part comes out. That's all for today. See you next time.